The New Gods, issue 12, Ram V writing with Evan Cagle and Phil Hester on the art. The final issue of The New Gods, although the ending does promise that the New Gods will return in some form. So there is something planned, presumably, for maybe post-KO or something down the line. Whether that's more Ram V work or it's just like the DC in general have plans for the New Gods, who knows? But regardless, it does give you that little bit of hope at the end for more New Gods stuff. So yeah, this is the big climax. The opening kind of flashback sort of just reiterates the history of Mr. Miracle and Orion, and that Orion was trying to prove himself but hide like his true face because he was ashamed of who he really was, and that was kind of the story of his life. Whereas Mr. Miracle was constantly trying to escape, and he kept escaping. He kept getting caught. You know, he didn't get free until much later, but this idea that he would, whatever trap they put him in, whatever cage they put him in, he would find a way out because he's scot-free, and knowing that he can get free is what makes him feel free, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. So, all that's good stuff, but then it gets to the main bulk of it, which is, you know, the new god baby or toddler fighting Orion, and to the point where when Orion tries to talk him down, thinking, you know, maybe he'll break through to him, we get this gorgeous silent page where the new god baby fires a beam of, you know, whatever through Orion's chest, and it's just this gorgeous like, you know, like purple blue background with a silhouette, and then close-ups of their faces, and then you just straight up see, like, we're looking at the new god through the hole in his like back. We can see him almost like that moment in Shaun of the Dead when you like the zombie gets stabbed with the pipe, and you can see the characters through the hole in the body. This is exactly that moment.
See through.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
And he looks back and then just keeps going into that void.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh man, Orion really wasn't the guy for this. You know?
No.
As much as we thought that they had, you know, in that issue, they had some understanding that whatever Lord has done to Kamal, to this new god kid, he is going and embracing whatever's there. And I was like, oh, there was a sense of hopelessness here. Where I was like, oh man. I mean, maybe there's a reason this is the last issue.
This book has been at its best when the ideas feel so big like this, and this felt like big and cosmic and like larger than life.
Yep.
Mr. Miracle defeats the SAD, and obviously goes after and sees what's going on with the others, with Orion and the kid. And ultimately, Mr. Miracle makes the choice to go into the singularity, to go into the black hole and get the kid, and says that it's okay if it is Darkseid that's in there. He's been escaping Darkseid his whole life. Like, this is what he's for. So he does, and it's just this beautiful thing where Maxwell Lord acknowledges that he's lost his connection to the kid, so the kid's actually just now scared. Like, this kid's just himself, and terrified and thinking about his parents and whatever. And seeing visions of, like, a world on fire with just, like, Darkseid eyes, like, glaring over the skyscrapers. Like, really, really cool stuff. Obviously, this is teasing the possible future that we might get to, where, you know, like, whether this is the absolute universe or what he's going to do to the main universe with his absolute universe. But regardless, just as this kid's been like devoured into the nothing, into the black, Mr. Miracle's hand reaches in and grabs him and pulls him out. And, you know, and Mr. Miracle's, like, you know, throughout the book narrating about how, he's always worried about, is he a good father? Because obviously his father gave him up, so he has all these abandonment issues and all the rest of it. So it feels really nice to have these moments where he's, like, saving the kid. And this is all building up to Orion, who is fine. You know, his body's kind of reformed, although he's got a pretty big scar on his chest. Yeah. He's like, you know what? You asked me to be High Father, but I'm not the person for the job. Like, scot-free should be the new High Father. And that's kind of like the big bombshell towards the end of the issue, that he's saying, hey, he's the guy who should take the job. Give him the staff. Really good. And there's also this, like, dueling, like, this conversation, which is clearly in the past tense, which I think turns out to be Orion and Metron talking about this choice that he made. In the future, and say, I think you made the right choice, but this is kind of, and Orion's like, no, my purpose is to take down Darkseid. Like, one day I'm going to kill that son of a bitch, and, you know, he goes off with Metron, and that's kind of the end. I've glossed over, like, through the whole thing there just to sum it up, but, like, big stuff.
So the parts to me of this that really spoke to me, right, was there the last page of the Phil Hester stuff, where we have the dual pages of Orion and Scott-Free
Mm-hmm.
on New Genesis, on Apocalypse, and just to show how they're different, right? It's not just that they're inverse images of each other, right? Where Orion's right side up and Scott-Free's upside down, but Orion's saying, "I'm afraid every time I see my own reflection of all the things I can become," and that's complemented by Scott-Free saying, "But I have no fear at all. Don't you see? That's what it means to be free." Right? As they are the ultimate complement of each other, right? And it's almost the sense of they need each other more than they need to, more than Orion needs to become High Father or to destroy Darkseid or whatever, is that they need to do whatever they need to do together. So when we get that where Orion says, "No, you go," right? Like this, I clearly failed. You go and get that kid. You're the one that can do it. I just love that, because it is them working together. And then also where Scott gets free of Desaad, it's because he brings up Tom King's Mr. Miracle, right? Where he's like, "Look, I look at things as a binary, right? It's either I'm free or I'm not free. And pain's its own state of existence, right? It's not a box to check. And I have lived in pain, and it gets to the crux of like the depression of Scott-Free in that book. And we even get like the Garrett's like digitizing here on that page as he's explaining, what this pain is. And like, that's a pain that Desaad is not familiar with. That pain of existence and living through it, but choosing to go anyways, right? Getting up and taking care of your kid and him reuniting with Barda, and that's everything that he does. And he's able to power through and deliver, that knockout punch to Desaad.
Yeah,
it's all really good stuff.
Yeah, calling back to that distortion of like representing Scott-Free's like pain and doubt and all that is a really nice touch, because even though that Mr. Miracle book isn't exactly in continuity per se, the idea that brought back Darkseid is like a big thing that has now come up several times in the discussion of Darkseid.
Yeah.
But also this idea of how we treat Scott, and the fact that even though the kid's not the exact same kid, the fact that Scott and Barda have a kid feels like, the reason I think that's concrete in continuity now is because everyone read that book and said, yeah, Barda and Scott have a kid now. That should be a thing that we have. So no, I really do like them calling back to that, and because I think for a lot of people, and I kind of include myself in this, I feel like that Mr. Miracle book was kind of like the gateway into the New Gods of the modern DCU.
Absolutely.
So I'm pleased that that's still been kind of treated as this kind of linchpin in the whole thing. The other big thing that I didn't really mention is that when they do get the kid back and they go down to Earth, and they're like, hey, that Armada, the Nectari are all trying to invade, and like, we need to stop them. This New God kid's supposed to be able to do that. And like, we don't know if we should send them up there. Is that like cruel or what? And Wonder Woman gives them the lasso to sort of say, hey, like sometimes this helps me know my truth. And it's basically just the kid. The kid takes it and then seemingly turns into an adult-sized New God and flies up and just explodes in white to take out the entire Armada. And it's this idea of like, everything's being reset for them, where it's not just that they're dying in an explosion, it's like all of the hate, the pain, and the misery's all been taken away and reset back to a time before everything was like corrupted and made miserable and everything. Really, again, really big heady concepts that Ram V loves to put in. But
yeah, because we get that part here where he says, and with that he shows the Nectari, the true opposite of annihilation, the source in perhaps its purest form. And it says, unlike the Alpha Force, the source does not seek to create, destroy, or remake. It is not concerned with matter at all, only potential, not what you are, but the things you could be. And that's how I took this, is that he took that. He is this pure being of the source, and he took his ultimate potential to give, the Nectari their potential, right? That they don't have to do all this stuff, right? And he's not remaking them or undoing them or whatever. He's just showing them, what's it say? Like that it's right here where he says, in the final moment, every motive of his being remembers a time before the darkness, a memory thrumming with the innocence of the pre-creation, right? And he just basically undoes them, all their pain, everything, and unleashes all of their potential. And then he goes back and we see him as a kid again, right? On the last page, his dad's holding him.
Yeah, he's not doesn't stay in this form.
So,
he goes up and does what he's supposed to do, and
yeah,
now he'll still get to grow up, presumably. But it's this idea of like, if this is literally just like the source light that he's igniting, is an interesting concept that he just has that inside him. It's I don't know, it's big, it's bold, it's interesting. But the book ends with
and that.
Well, just the book ends with Orion leaving with Metron to go off and like, let's go see what your potential is, go see what your possibilities are, with the ultimate goal of taking down Darkseid. So,
and the same with Scott. Like, we don't see if he accepts the staff.
We don't know. We just see shocked reaction
potential
when he's offered the staff and offered the role of Highfather.
And then when and now when Highfather stepped down, now he's just Isaiah. Right. And, he fulfilled his potential. He was the Highfather. Right. And now he's passing it to his two sons. And what are they going to do? They are so different. Right. I just love that. It's a very nice, with how he's playing with the concept of mythology and stuff. It almost feels like Ram V has cemented what, Orion and Scott Free now mean to the new gods. With this potential. But yeah, and that's weird to say considering these characters are like 50 years old and stuff. But even in on that, when Seraphin, who's the guy that turned the kid over to Max Lord, was like, I did this because I wasn't given a choice, right? That I was thrusted this new goddom on me, a kid from Earth, and it messed me up. And this kid deserves to make his own choice, not have it thrust upon him. Right. And again, it gets to the idea of a choice, even though this kid doesn't get the choice because it was taken away when Seraphin,
Yeah, although I would point out, though,
there's all this.
The way you started that, I think, is kind of just glosses over the fact that he's making it, because when he's confronted when they find him, he says that, you're searching for like something that showed that I was coerced or I was controlled into doing this. So his point is that he made a choice to do this. Like, he did choose to do this. So I would like to emphasize that it wasn't like he was compelled for any other reason other than he believed it was the right thing to do, I guess. Right.
Yeah. So there's all this stuff in here, and I was just like, damn, I need more New Gods now. I've gotten a taste, and we've had this for a year now, for 12 issues, and everything that's been set up, I need more New Gods. So I guess that is a grand seal of approval, right? When it leaves you wanting that much more.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only, like, it's obviously been a very good book. I mean, some issues have been phenomenal. The only thing I could say negatively really is that if the only thing I have to compare it to is another New Gods book is that Mr. Miracle book. I do think that Mr. Miracle book is even better, but that's it's not even that big of a deal. It's just a point of comparison, really, because this is going for something very different. This is doing a grand big story that's trying to advance all of the New God stuff, whereas Mr. Miracle's more of a personal story about this, one person / family in the midst of all this New God bullshit. Yeah. So they're going for very, very different things. But that's very good. Very good. And the art, as per usual, from CAGLE, and the main part of the book is very solid, particularly the stuff in space this issue. Because that was probably my least favorite stuff last time, was that I felt like the action was just a little bit like whatever. But here it felt like the big moments really hit hard, both emotionally and from like an art perspective. So, no, really good. What are you giving New Gods issue 12?
I'm going to give this a 9.5.
All right, okay. I think I'm going to go 8.5 on this one. It's excellent. It's very good, but I don't think it's the best issue of the book, though. I think there's a couple of issues earlier on that I would say are the better issues, so I'm going to go 8.5.